Welcome back everyone to the official Uniburo YouTube channel. I'm your host Mitcho, and in today's video I'm going to show you guys how you can integrate SimpleTix with your Salesforce. So what I have here is our annual gala fundraiser, which is not real, but this is what we're going to be dealing with today. And I want all of the ticket orders from this event to be inputted into our Salesforce. So I'm going to want that this fundraiser is created as a campaign. I want the contact, whoever bought the ticket, to be in my Salesforce, and I want that order transaction to be there as well. And so how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to use our API bridge of choice, which is Zapier. So here I am in Zapier. And so to start, you just want to click on New Zap, and you're going to want to search for SimpleTix. So once you have your SimpleTix here, you're going to go ahead and just choose your trigger event. I like to go with the new order. So in this case, anytime a new order has been created in SimpleTix, it will trigger this API and send off into Salesforce. The next step is you're going to have to connect your SimpleTix account with Zapier. So this step might be a little bit confusing, but I'll walk you guys through it. So the first step is to click on Choose an Account. You could ignore the fact that mine is already here. You're going to want to create a new account, or connect a new account rather. And then this window is going to pop up. So you're going to need to get the API key of your SimpleTix and paste it in here. So they actually give quite a good example on how to do that. So all you need to do is just copy this URL, open a new tab, and you're going to want to paste it. And then what you need to do is just change where this says your domain with, well, your domain. And so our case, it's going to be Uniburo, and I'm going to click and go to that page. So once you're here, what you need to do is click on the copy API key. This is going to open up a little window, and your API key is going to be there. I'm not going to do that just for security reasons. But once you're done that, you can go ahead, return to that other window, and paste your API key there. And then you'll be able to select your account. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my account, and then I could click on Continue. So this part, again, is a lot of fun. You just got to click on Test Trigger. If you do not have any triggers existing, or any tickets that you've purchased already, nothing will come up. But in my case, I've already processed a test transaction, so this is what we're going to be working with. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Continue. And now our first step is complete. Now our next step is I want three things to happen once an order has been submitted into SimpleTix. I want to find or create the contact, the person who actually purchased the ticket. I then want to have the campaign created or found. So that's going to be the event itself. And then lastly, I want an opportunity to be created, and I want that opportunity to be linked to that new contact and to the new campaign. So to start, it doesn't really matter which order we start with, but I'm going to go ahead and do my contact first. So in my apps, I'm going to go ahead and search for Salesforce. There's actually two main Salesforces. There is the legacy integration, as well as just the new one, which is what I'm going to select. And then again, we need to choose our action. In our case, we want to go ahead and find a record. So once you click on that, you're going to want to go ahead and choose which Salesforce account you want to use. In my case, I've already connected mine, but if you haven't connected yours, you just simply need to click on Connect a New Account. A window will pop up, and you'll just need to choose which Salesforce environment you want to use, whether it is a production or a sandbox, most likely a production. And then if you do not see the screen, you'll probably be greeted with a login screen, in which case you'll just have to simply log in to your Salesforce account. But then once this pops up, all you need to do is just click on Allow, and this will create the connection for you. In my case, I've already done this, so for me, it's pretty straightforward. All you need to do is just select the account you want to work with. Once that's done, you can click on Continue, and now we get into the fun stuff. So to start, we're going to actually have to pick what object we want to look for. In our case, I want to look for the contact, so I'm going to go ahead and start typing contact, and I can just select it there. Now we want to choose which field we want to search by, and so in my case, I've actually created a special formula field which I called int matching. Oops. And this formula field, all it does is it pulls the last name, comma, space, and the email. So this is just a kind of my quick way of enhancing my searches just a little bit. So now, in order to create that matching search value with our data from SimpleTix, I'm going to go ahead and put the merge fields in here. So I said it's going to be last name, comma, space, email. Once that's done, we can just click away, and we could answer whether this is considered a success when nothing is found. The answer is false. If something is found, it is not a success, in which case we want to create a Salesforce record if it doesn't exist yet. So we're going to go ahead and check that little box. And now it's going to open this other little widget with all of our contact fields here. So what we're going to want to do is map all of our fields with the fields in Salesforce. So for example, the last name, if I just click into here, I could go ahead and select the last name of my test trigger, which our case would be Iger. And then I could go into the first name, I could choose Bob, and I can just continue doing this the whole way down. So I'm going to do that, and I will be right back. Okay, so I just finished mapping all of my fields. So we can see I put the email, and I just put the address over here, as well as the first and last name. So that's all the real information that we have from SimpleTix. Obviously, if you had some custom questions, you could go ahead and map them here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just scroll all the way to the bottom. Depending on how many fields you have in your Salesforce, this might be longer than others. And then once this is done, I'm going to go ahead and just click on continue. So it's going to ask if you want to test this action, which is always a good thing to do. So it's going to go ahead and find, or actually make this search and see if anything is returned. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click on test and review. Okay, so the test was completed, and we can see that a record was actually found in Salesforce. So that means this working just as I intended. And so next I can click on this little plus sign, which is sometimes hidden, but it is down there, and this will create us a new step in our Zap. So next I want to continue with Salesforce. So again, I can just search for Salesforce. And this will be the same process as earlier, because now what I want to do is I want to find a campaign for our event, in which case is the birthday bash. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I am going to find a record, continue. I'm going to link it with my demo org, continue. So now for our object, we want to search for a campaign. So I'm going to search for campaign over here. Then in our field to search by, I'm going to go ahead and select the campaign name, because I think that is unique enough for me. And obviously when you're doing this, you can set this up to be as precise or unique, or not precise as you want. You can even create a formula field like we did in the previous step. But for me, I'm just going to stick with the name. So in the search value, all you need to do is just search for the event name. And so I can just search for event. And then I can find the event name will be here. There's our gala. And then just like we did before with the contact, I want to make sure that I click the create new record if there's none that is found. And then we can just map all of our fields just like we did in the previous step. So I can just search for the event name here. I can go find the type and the start date. I can put all of that stuff, fill it out here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill all this stuff out, and I'll be back once it's done. Alright, so I just finished mapping all of the fields that I wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on continue. And just like before, I'm going to go ahead and test this step. And so we can see that this worked. I actually had this campaign already in my Salesforce, so we can see that it picked it up. So everything is good here. And now we're ready to move on to our last step. And this step, we are going to go ahead and create an opportunity for this transaction. So now in this case, I want to do a create record. And again, same account as before. And now this time, I'm going to go ahead and choose our opportunity. opportunity. There it is. And now all of our values are populated here, or all of our fields rather. So now I can do the same thing as I've been doing before and start mapping some of these fields. So to start, we have the record type here since we're using NPSP. So I'm going to go ahead and just select our donation record type. For the opportunity name, also again, because we have NPSP, this will be done automatically. But just in case you don't have NPSP, we could always just map this out by, just filling out some of the stuff here. So I can just say that this is the person's name, followed by a SimpleTix order. Also, these are going to be closed won all the time, so we can mark that. The amount fields where things get a little bit interesting because in SimpleTix we have a few different order line items here. So we have the order total, we even have the original total price, the service fees, as well as subtotal and even a tax amount and additional donation amount. In this case, they just purchased a standard ticket with the service fees, so we can see that the total order came out to $11.83. So we can decide whether which amount you prefer in your Salesforce, but in our case, we're going to stick with the order total, so I'm going to choose this $11.83. Continuing down, we can just choose the close date as our order date. And so I'm going to go ahead and just continue filling out some of these details as we go. Oh, before I do that, the campaign, that's an important one because we want to make sure that we select the campaign that we selected in our second step. So let me just put that one there. But other than that, I think all the other ones are fairly straightforward. So I'm going to go ahead and map all of those fields and I'll be right back. So I just about finished mapping all of my fields, and I realized I got down to the bottom of the page and there was one last field that was kind of important, which is the order URL. And so the order URL is a field that I like to have just in case, of an emergency, I like to say. And in SimpleTix, there's a few URLs that we can have. There's the mobile tickets URL. There's the actual order URL, which is what we're looking for, but there's also some box office URL, and then you can even download the tickets. But I like to have the view order URL, and this URL is a URL that brings you directly into SimpleTix that has all of the details of the order available. So it's nice to have everything in Salesforce, but at least now you also have that connection straight back into SimpleTix, so you can easily click on this link and see all of the order details in one spot. So that I'm finished mapping, I'm going to go ahead and click on Continue. And again, I'm just going to test this quickly just to make sure that everything is looking good. And there we are. So everything was sent into Salesforce. And so we are pretty much done with this Zap. But before continuing, what I like to do is I always like to just go ahead and check Salesforce to make sure that everything did in fact work as intended. So I have Salesforce open over here. So here is our demo organization. And so I'm going to go ahead and find that new donation that we just created, and so we can take a look at it and see what's going on. Okay, so here is the donation that we just created. So we can see all of our stuff have mapped correctly. We have the name, our primary contact, our amount, our close date, our stage. We even have our campaign here. Then just some method of payment and some payment references. Our lead source is SimpleTix. We only have one for our quantity because they only bought one ticket. And we can even see here is our order URL, which will bring us into SimpleTix to see the order on the SimpleTix side. So everything worked out fairly fine here. I can even go check Bob's contact page out just to make sure that this worked properly. And we can see that this did in fact link Bob to the right contact. And we can see all of his other opportunities here. And if I go back and I head into this campaign, we can actually see that this campaign was already created and we already have 3 opportunities already linked with this fundraiser. So we can see all the people who have bought tickets. And we can even see here we have 3 opportunities with this campaign with 3 separate unique contacts. And we have a total of $122 already in this campaign. So all this information is also in Salesforce. So that is how you integrate SimpleTix with your Salesforce. You guys can go ahead and try it out. And if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Thanks a lot, guys.